The morning sun spilled softly across the plains of Tsavo, glinting off the tall grass like liquid fire. Near a grove of ancient baobab trees, a lone horse grazed peacefully, a chestnut stallion named Tamu, known across the ranger station for his calm strength and gentle nature. He pawed at the ground, snorting contentedly as birds sang overhead. To him, this was another perfect morning. The air was sweet, the sky endless. He wandered lazily through the open field, nose low to the earth, following the faint scent of something even sweeter honey. The smell led him toward the baobab grove. Deep inside one of the hollow trunks, bees had built a massive hive, golden combs spilling with thick, shimmering nectar. Tamu had been here before, but never this close. Curiosity tugged at him, stronger than caution. He stretched his neck forward, sniffing the sticky honey that glistened in the sunlight. Then, without realizing, he took a bite. The instant his tongue touched the comb, the world erupted. A deafening hum filled the air. The hive exploded into life. Millions of honeybees, angry and terrified, poured out in a swirling black cloud. The air darkened. The sound was everywhere, a storm of wings and fury. Tamu jerked backward, rearing in panic, but it was too late. The bees were upon him. They covered his face, his eyes, his neck. The air shimmered with movement as they clung to his body, stinging over and over. His terrified cries split the silence of the savannah. He bolted through the grass, kicking and thrashing, but the swarm followed like a living shadow. For miles, the only sounds were his pounding hooves and the relentless droning buzz. The ranger, several kilometers away, Ranger Daniel Mwangi was patrolling near the eastern tracts of Tsavo National Park. His eyes, sharp from years of work, caught movement on the horizon, something running erratically, brown against the gold of the grass. He lifted his binoculars. His breath caught. It was Tamu, but the horse's sleek coat was moving, crawling. Even from a distance, Daniel saw it, the cloud of bees engulfing the animal. He didn't think twice. He slammed his motorbike into gear and sped toward the chaos, the engine roaring as dust billowed behind him. The swarm. When Daniel reached the grove, the air itself seemed alive. The buzzing was deafening, a furious sound that pressed against his chest like thunder. Tamu stood in the middle of it all, trembling violently, his eyes wide with terror. The poor animal was almost unrecognizable, his body coated in a thick layer of bees. Daniel's instincts screamed at him to keep back. One wrong move and the swarm could turn on him too. But as the horse staggered and fell to its knees, letting out a desperate cry, Daniel felt something stronger than fear duty, compassion. He jumped off the bike and ran. "Easy, boy," he shouted over the sound. "Easy, Tamu, I'm here." Bees feared smoke. Daniel knew that from training. It mimicked fire, their ancient enemy, and forced them into retreat. He tore off his backpack, hands shaking, and pulled out a tin can, matches, and a bundle of dry grass. Quickly he struck a flame, feeding it with grass until thick white smoke rose into the air. The wind carried it toward the hive. The bees closest to the smoke hesitated, their formation breaking, their fury dimming slightly. It was enough. Daniel wrapped his jacket around his face and neck, leaving only his eyes uncovered. Then, crouching low, he approached the terrified horse. The air stung with the smell of venom and honey. "Tamu, it's all right," he murmured, voice low and steady. "We'll get you out of this." The horse trembled, flinching at every sting. Daniel grabbed the reins, his other hand holding the smoking tin like a shield. He began brushing the bees away, wincing as several crawled under his sleeves and stung his arms. But he didn't stop. Step by step, he led Tamu backward away from the hive, through the thick smoke toward safety. The bees didn't retreat easily. They clung to the horse's mane, legs, and chest, relentless, furious. Daniel's own vision blurred from the pain of dozens of stings, but he pressed on, his breath coming in ragged gasps. When they finally broke free of the densest part of the swarm, Daniel spotted Salvation, a shallow river running along the grove's edge. "Come on, boy," he panted. "Almost there." He half-pulled, half-guided Tamu into the cool water. The horse stumbled, then plunged in, splashing violently. The water churned with ripples and foam, and with it, the bees began to fall away, swept downstream. For the first time in what felt like hours, Daniel could hear something other than the roar of wings. The river was quiet, save for the sound of the horse's heavy breathing and the soft rustle of wind through reeds. Daniel collapsed into the water beside him, gasping, his arms covered in welt. The pain burned, but relief flooded through him. "You're okay," he whispered, resting a trembling hand on the horse's wet neck. "You're okay now." Back at the ranger station, the veterinarian worked for hours on both rescuer and rescued. Tamu had more than 200 stings, but none were fatal. Daniel had over 40. When it was over, both man and horse were exhausted, but alive. The other rangers gathered around, disbelief in their eyes. You ran straight into a swarm? One asked. Didn't think about it, Daniel said softly. Just saw him and moved. By the next morning, the story had spread across the region, a ranger who risked his life to save a horse from millions of bees. Photos of Daniel and Tamu standing side by side, both marked by the ordeal, began to circulate online. But Daniel never cared for praise. They weren't attacking, he told a reporter. They were defending. The horse made a mistake, and the bees reacted the only way they knew how. I just helped restore the balance. Weeks later, when Tamu was fully recovered, Daniel took him back to the baobab grove. The hive still buzzed inside the hollow trunk, its combs glinting golden in the sunlight. Tamu stopped several meters away, nostrils flaring, muscles tense. Daniel rested a calming hand on his mane. Don't worry, he murmured. They remember you, but they're not angry anymore. The horse stood quietly, watching the bees drift lazily through the air. The tension faded from his body. He lowered his head and began to graze. That moment, simple, wordless, perfect, told Daniel more than any headline or medal ever could. Months later, when a documentary crew visited Tsavo to film the story, Daniel sat beside Tamu as the camera rolled. People think courage means fighting, he said, but sometimes it just means staying calm in chaos, doing what's right even when you're afraid. He looked toward the baobab grove, where the hum of bees mingled with the wind. Those bees weren't my enemies. They taught me something that every creature here, no matter how small, fights for survival. The least we can do is respect that. 1 year after the rescue, Daniel returned to the grove once more, this time with a group of schoolchildren visiting the park. Tamu carried a few of them gently on his back, patient and calm. When they reached the tree, one child pointed nervously at the hive. Aren't bees dangerous? He asked. Daniel smiled. Only if you disturb them. They protect their home just like we do. The boy thought for a moment, then whispered, Is this where you saved him? Daniel nodded. Right here. Tamu flicked his tail, grazing beneath the shade of the baobab. The bees hummed softly above. The sunlight painted everything gold, and in that peaceful moment, ranger, horse, and hive stood together, living proof that even in the wild, compassion could bridge fear, and understanding could turn danger into harmony. In the heart of the wild, where life and danger walk side by side, one act of courage changed everything. Daniel Mwangi didn't fight the storm, he walked into it, guided only by compassion. The horse he saved, the bees he spared, and the peace that followed remind us of one simple truth. Bravery isn't about fearlessness. It's about love, the kind that moves you to protect life no matter how small, no matter the risk. Because in the end, kindness is the strongest force in the wild and in us.
Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.